Hey everyone, this is Vitaly with Vital Design Tips, and today I'll be showing you how to use the blend tool. In this example, I'm going to show you how to blend shape a leprechaun into a clover into some text. And then we will export that sequence out into a PNG sequence and bring it into Photoshop to finally make a GIF animation, GIF or GIF, however you prefer to say it. So I already have my shapes. I have my leprechaun design, and then I have my clover with the text. Now it's important when you're using the blend shape tool that everything is combined. So I have my leprechaun all in one group, and my clover is in two separate groups. So I'm actually going to grab all of it and I'm going to group it all together. And then the text is all by itself. So I will click on the blend tool, leaving the default settings. I'm going to click on the leprechaun, and then I'm going to click on the clover. So your default settings may be different than mine. You may have previous settings, say from before, but for me it's inserting two shapes in between my leprechaun and clover. So I want to change the blend shape options. I'm actually going to undo that, and then I'm going to go to Object, Blend, Blend Options. I'm going to change my spacing to specified steps, and I would like to have 4 steps in between the leprechaun and the clover. So now when I select my blend tool and click on the leprechaun, then the clover, it's going to create 4 separate blend shapes. And then I will click on the good luck text, and it's going to create 4 more shapes from the clover to the text. I can click the path and move the anchor points around. You can see that the shapes will follow the path. So to separate everything, I'm going to click and select all of it, go to Object, Expand. This will get rid of that path, and I'm going to leave the Object and Fill on. Hit OK. It got rid of the path, and now everything is still one piece, so I'm going to go to Object, Ungroup, and this will break everything into its own shapes. Now the good thing is it doesn't break it into a million pieces, it just breaks it up into its own groups. This is exactly what I wanted. And if you want to go in and modify some of the shapes, you can. Of course, this is easier to do if the shapes are smaller and not so complicated like the leprechaun. To have smoother animations, you want to use the blend shape tool on separate pieces. So I could have selected just his beard to transform into part of the clover, and then his hat I could have selected and have that transition to something else. It would have taken much longer, but you can definitely do that. Now I'm going to select all of the pieces, and I'm going to export as multiple assets. You can see all of the assets are separated, so now I'm ready to export them. I'm going to leave the scaling on 1, and I want it to be a PNG sequence. I'm going to launch the export. I'm going to select the folder where I want everything to go. I can see that everything is selected. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on Export Asset. It will create a folder for you by default, and it will put everything in there. And now you can see that every asset is separated, which is exactly what I wanted. Now I'm ready to select all of it and bring it into Photoshop to create my GIF animation. In Photoshop, I want to create a new canvas so that I can drop my images in there. I'm going to click on New. Then I will make my width and height about 300 pixels, and I want the background transparent. Then I'm going to go ahead and click Create. So now that I have my canvas, I'm going to grab all of the images, and I will drag them into my canvas. Just click and drag it, and then you want to hit the check mark for every one of those images. And you can see on the right side it's putting everything into its own layer. Now I'm going to go to Window, Timeline. I want to make sure that Create Frame Animation is selected. I'm going to click the Create Frame Animation. Then I will click the Properties box on the right side and select Make Frames from layers. What that does is it grabs all of the layers on the right side and it puts them into separate timeline images on the bottom there. And I can hit the play button to see the animation play out. Now these are in reverse, so I'm going to shift select all of them, click the properties box again, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on reverse frames. Now I have the leprechaun in the first frame. I'm going to select the leprechaun and click the little plus on the bottom to duplicate that layer, just so I can have the leprechaun pause for just a split second, and I will also do that on the clover and on the text at the end. Now when I hit play, there's just a split second pause in the beginning and at the end, and that's pretty good for what I need. And now I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I want it to be a GIF. I will give it a name, and I'm ready to save it. I'm going to make sure that it's set to web and then hit OK. And that's it. And now you can see the simple GIF animation. So in just a couple of steps, you can take your shapes, blend them from one to another, export them, and create a simple little GIF. Again, this is Vitaly with Vital Design Tips, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to blend shapes and make a GIF out of them.